Date is July the 11th, 2023. We're at the Public Works Building, and we will stand for our invitation and pledge of allegiance.
Father, we thank you for the blessings. We just come and we ask that your presence would grace this meeting, Lord, that you would touch our minds. God, you would direct us in all business at hand. Lord, we know you know what's best. We ask you to be among us, Lord. Lead us and guide us in all we do. We give you praise, Lord, and honor and glory in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Miller? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton? Here. Mr. Welly?
Here.
And Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Okay. Mayor's comments. I started to think about what I want to say today and my mayor's comments. I started writing and I entered to page 3 and I stopped and I started reading what I'd written and to reflect on everything that I was writing. And I asked myself, was it beneficial or productive for moving our city in the right direction? I was starting to see a little negativity in my writing. And as we all know, negativity is never good and it breeds negativity. We are elected officials and we are elected for a specific job. Everyone sitting here has the right to their own thoughts, their own feelings. We all make mistakes. We all have those times that we say something or do something that we regret, myself included. We are all lifelong learners, and we must learn from our mistakes and move forward. We must self-monitor our feelings when we come to this table to prevent it from clouding our good judgment. We have a job to do. We need to do our job. So today, please remember what we have learned from the past few months. Let's move forward. Let's do our job that our citizens have elected us to do. Let's put the past in the past. And that's where the past belongs, is in the past. So as we move into our citizens' comments today, I do want to remind you that we do have a a town hall this evening at 6 p.m. where the conversation can be more one-on-one between you and the council. So as I move forward, we're going to move into our citizens' comments. Please come forward, state your name, address, and realize there is the 3-minute limit.
Good morning. Tim Linderman, 105 St. Francis Street. What I'm handing out here is some information I'd like to give you, and I want to talk about it in more detail tonight. Or not enough copies. There we go. So the first couple pages is a copy of the executive overview of the Stormwater Master Plan done in 2015. And this is for your background information tonight if you so choose to look at it. Additionally, I provided a letter from the Corps of Engineers talking about they're not proceeding to help us with our stormwater issues. And then lastly is just a one-page document that I put together with some thoughts I have about making the city more sustainable, and I'll talk about those in more detail tonight because I don't think I have enough time. It's like I put the time now, but and what I want to talk about tonight is our stormwater plan and what I think lack of a consolidated, complete plan for stormwater. And what you're going to see, I think, in this executive summary of the 2015 plan, it outlines some recommendations. And what I have discovered talking with previous city administrator, Tommy, and David Reisman, our engineer, is many of the recommendations aren't feasible or doable given our current financial status. Many of them are under or are involved now private property to deal with it. And we have neglected, I think, many of the recommendations that have been brought forward. And that's what I want to talk about tonight with some recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work too.
Mayor, Council, Rock Creek, Colorado Drive. Just want to say thank you to the Special Events Committee and all the people, the businesses, the people who donated money, the fire department, the police department, the city, everybody who's involved with the fireworks. I mean, it was great. It was, seems like every year it gets better and better. And they did a swell job, and I think they need to be recognized for what they did. There's a lot of people in the community who got involved in that, and we really appreciate it. Second thing real quick, building around here. Is there a reason why the building department does not require a dumpster on houses that are being built? I mean, to me, that just seems like a ridiculous thing not to have. We have trash blowing all through the neighborhoods all the time, and half the time you see the garbage people picking up stuff as they're going around, the sanitation workers. To me, that just seems common sense to require, besides the bathroom and porta potty, a dumpster on new home construction or major renovations. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jody Moore, and I run a local Facebook page called The Beacon of Bay County, Florida. I've been watching this whole situation in Mexico Beach since Mayor Miller was elected. I want to preface what I'm going to say by letting you know I've never spoken to Mayor Miller. We've never met. Never spoken by phone, on Facebook, or message. But one reason I came is to offer my support to her. I'm just outraged by the way she's being talked to and the way she's being treated. Michelle Miller is not Aunt Kathy. She's got to run things differently. I agree she's not a queen or a dictator, and she shouldn't be. However, she is clearly the CFO of Mexico Beach according to the charter. I don't even know why this is a question, because it isn't. She was elected because as a body, the people of Mexico Beach want transparency. They want to know where the money is going and where it's gone. And why do I care, and why am I here speaking today? I'm not from Mexico Beach. I was born and raised in Bay County, and I currently live just outside of Lynn Haven. Mexico Beach took $100 million in FEMA money. That's your money, that's my money. People in other states have helped pay for your rebuild. I have every right to come here and speak, even though I don't live in Mexico Beach. Anyone has the right to speak. And I'm outraged by the way this mayor is being treated. I'm outraged by some of the council walking out of meetings and refusing to show up. I know you said you had an excuse, but 3 people didn't show up at the last meeting. I've contacted Governor DeSantis about this and encouraged others to do so too. This council needs to follow the charter, which is your law. If the council refuses to follow that law, Mayor Miller, I urge you to pursue your legal options to clarify the issue once and for all. This has been going on for months. It's long enough. Mayor Miller, don't give up. I know there were citizens who oppose you, but you have more support than you know. For this council, you are public servants. You were elected to serve the people. The people clearly want accountability and transparency. You need to give that to them. Open the ledgers, get a forensic audit. The audit that has been delayed needs to move forward. Right now, what's happening is just chaos, and it is not serving the residents of Mexico Beach. As someone who doesn't live here, as someone who stands outside and looks in, I'm an outsider. I urge the mayor, this council, and this lawyer to stop the infighting. Look at the charter, follow the charter, serve the people. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
I'm Shelby Bush, and every morning I walk. I see you most mornings. We live in such a beautiful area, but there has been so much ugliness lately. I know, Adrian, we were concerned with Facebook before the election. Family and friends. After the election, horrible. Made up Facebook accounts, nastiness. So I have a suggestion for all of you. The people that work on our sanitation crew are the kindest, hardest workers, team players that you can ever find. 4th of July, they're out there working. They have the best attitude. They get out of that truck, they help each other, they're kind to each other, they're kind to us as citizens. So I challenge each of you, walk a day in their shoes. Maybe you'll learn a little kindness. Thank you.
Let me speak just for a minute. I'm Alex Hogan, I live on 7th Street. I want to carry on what Ms. Bush just said. She's absolutely correct. For weeks, we have been bickering about power, the authority, the mayor, the councilman. People, what makes this community great? Yes, this leadership here, or lack of, but the real people that make Mexico Beach beautiful are the Tommies, the Glens, the Sandys, the sanitation people. They're the ones that makes this community beautiful. So we should come together to make their job easier. They're great people. Let's support them instead of all this in-house. Thank you, Ms. Bush, for your comments. They were beautiful. Thank you for the lady from Lynn Haven. That was beautiful. Now we need to make you, councilmen, beautiful. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
George Gill, 124th Street. This morning I had planned on reading a prepared statement that would have been a direct rebuttal to the prepared statements read by Mr. Welly and former mayor a couple weeks ago. But honoring your opening remarks and statements, I'm going to put that off for another time. However, what I am going to do this morning is relate some factual information that directly impacts on all of the finger pointing, the saber rattling, the chest thumping that's been going on ad nauseum, relating to who, in fact, the city administrator of Mexico Beach considers his boss. On March 22nd of this year, soon after the hiring of Michael Manning as the assistant city administrator, myself and 3 other city residents met with Mr. Manning. Also in attendance that meeting was City Administrator Doug Baber. In the course of that hour-long meeting, Doug Baber stated to the group, quote, "You all have to understand, I work for the mayor," unquote. Minutes later, same meeting, he once again stated to the group, quote, "Remember, I take my orders from the mayor," unquote. He then turned to Mr. Manning, who was seated on his immediate right, and said, "Just as Michael takes his orders from me." Now, I don't understand what more concrete and conclusive evidence is required. You have Doug Baber, who's at the heart of the controversy, according to the language found in section 2.07 of the charter, clearly stating to his newly hired assistant and 4 citizens that I work for the mayor. I take my orders from the mayor. Now, certainly a man that makes 6 figures from the citizens' money, plus health benefits, plus retirement, plus a take-home vehicle, would know fact certain who his boss is. And I challenge any of us in any job or occupation to say at any one time in our work history, we didn't know who our boss was. Based on Doug Baber's own words, there should be no doubt. Under the current language in the city charter, this argument needs to go away until there's a citizen vote on revisions or amendments. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm glad to hear that we're wanting to shift directions, because I hope that means that we're going to be following who the city administrator reports to. That has been happening since there ever was a city administrator, which is the city council. Section 2.1 of the charter states, Susan Goldman, 1008 15th Street, 15A, sorry. All power of the city shall be vested in the city council. Ordinance 46, revised ordinance 596, states that the city administrator is subject to control of the city council. That can't be changed, those ordinances, until you have 2 separate readings, at 2 separate meetings, and 2 separate votes. You have to do that to change it. The city website says the administrative responsibility of the city rests with the city administrator, who is appointed and works directly for the city council. Mr. Baber's contract stated that he reported directly to the city council, not the mayor, the city council, and he can only be fired by a majority vote of the city council. The Florida League of Cities, which is an organization that supports municipal cities, they have categorized Mexico Beach as a council weak mayor system. The mayor has little, if any, greater authority than the council members. A legal opinion from 2015 states the charter's definition of the powers of the mayor are unclear. However, that ordinances 486 and 596 that were previously mentioned are clear. A recent legal opinion from our city attorney states that Mexico Beach most closely resembles a council weak mayor system. That means then that the city administrator reports to the council, like it says in Doug's contract. So with all of this information, the charter language we know is still vague. That's why it's for revision right now. So really, if truly you want to move past this, you'll wait. You'll wait for a charter revision, because if you don't, you are saying that your interpretation supersedes decades of precedents, ordinances, and votes by the people. And that cannot be. That is called dictatorship. So I really hope that the words that you stated at the beginning of this meeting are truly what you mean, and that you will set this aside and let the Charter Review Committee do what they want to do, let the people vote for it, and move on. It's not a big deal to have a city administrator report to the council as a whole. That is what transparency is. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Any other citizens' comments?
Sheila Gardner, 111 20th Street. I'm gonna keep it brief today. This is the first meeting since we had our city employee luncheon. I cannot thank our community that did it. If it wasn't for everybody in this town that contributed, whether you did a gift card, came to my house and sweated 10 gallons of sweat, because everybody that was at my house that day knows it was the hottest day of the year. But we all came together. The employees, every one of them that I've talked to, said it's the best meal that they've ever had. So I hope that come this fall, we can do it for Christmas, Thanksgiving, something when it's a little bit cooler and we all won't pass out. I do hope the comments that started this meeting are how we continue. The only way this town is going to move forward is if we all do come together. We're either going to come together and stand, or we're going to stay where we are and we're going to fall. It's that simple. And it starts right here at this table. And I think the attacks that have happened have got to stop. They're coming from somewhere, and it's got to stop. I'll save everything else for town hall.
Bill McLaughlin, 406 5th Street. I've sat up there where you all are.
I've also sat on P and Z. Past few weeks have bothered me because I've sat on a council where the councilman and the mayor went head to head. Sometimes the council won, sometimes the mayor won. And that mayor was a very strong individual. Mayors usually lead not because a charter says, but because of their personality and their leadership abilities. I've heard several sides of this as who's right on the charter. I've heard that our mayor is because she's elected as mayor. But what it comes down to is the charter itself, and I agree that it needs to be looked at to try and get the citizens. I'm going to look at it because I'm an individual also of what I found. Very shortly, under the charter, 2.1, general powers and duties. City will be governed by mayor, not and council, not comma council. Mayor hyphen council. For those that, I had to look it up, so maybe some of you all missed it in English, hyphen puts a word together. It compounds, like a pharmacist compounding medicine into one. It blends. So it says we're governed by this unusual hyphen, one body. Even further goes and says all powers will then shall be vested to city, and then further states that hereon, it's just called the council. In other words, that hyphen word. The other thing I noted, and after that I'll stop, and I'm not trying to be nasty to anyone, but at the end of 2.07, mayor, it states that, so I can get it right, let me make it, I don't have it right, I'll read it here, but basically what it states is the powers or the chains are given to the mayor by the government, the state, and its ordinances, by the charter, and by the council. So if there's needs to change, not only can the state change by changing their laws, which would change powers depending on how it is of all of us. Certainly if you change the charter, that changes the power, but also so does the council, which is the blended council with the mayor. Several years later, 18 years ago, we created an administrator. It said it responds to the council. That's the mayor and the council. Will the city administrator look at the mayor and take their word and as an order or as a demand or whatever? Surely, because it's the mayor. The mayor, by the virtue of the fact they're mayor, has power. Not given by a charter, but it also has to be accepted and it has to be respected that that person knows what they're doing. I ask that you guys do work together. For over 50 years, by this same charter, we've governed the city. And frankly, in the past 3 months, that governance hasn't been there. We need it to be governed. If we take it because people think they have the right to a specific power and have the state look at it, fine. If we take and have a forensic audit, so that the people can see whether there was problems or weren't. Personally, I, as sitting there, don't think they'll find much. Will they find some? Yeah. You can't do a forensic audit without finding something. My fear is not that something will be found. My fear is going to be that half the people that think there is a problem will continue thinking there is a problem. Please, let's govern.
Any further citizens' comments?
Carter Dorsch. On a much lighter note, I would just like to applaud Adrian Willie. I feel like there's been a lot of negative news, whether it be from Mr. Thompson or anybody else, and I feel like he's handled it in a very professional way, professional manner, and I mean, there's not any other city council member that I call, but he is always willing to answer anything that I'm confused about, and for that, I would just like to applaud him. Thank you, Adrian.
Any further citizens' comments? Okay, we'll close the citizens' comments. Move to the consent agenda. We have minutes, meeting minutes from June 20th, 27th, and June 29th. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Any nays to, any changes noted? Any nays? And note that all dates on the agenda, 20th, 27th, 29th have been accepted. Now we move to our regular agenda. Employee of the month is up.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council. Good morning, everyone. I have the pleasure of presenting the Employee of the Month, and I just sat there and enjoyed what you just said. Braylon Harp has joined us. He's been here close to 6 months now. He's one of our sanitation drivers on the trucks. This guy is tremendous. He's one of the last ones on the sanitation department to receive this award, and I'm glad to see him get it because every one of the people on that sanitation truck deserve to be standing here. Those guys get out on the holidays. You mentioned it. They get out in the heat, the rain, it's tremendous the job they do, and today the city has the best sanitation people working for us that we've ever had. What I'm going to do is present him with an Employee of the Month plaque.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, you can put that on the wall. I know the next one I'm fixing to give you is going to be more color than that. And along with that, he gets a $25 in his paycheck, and he gets a full day off. Now, Saturday night or Sunday night. He uses it anytime he wants, and I'm going to tell you right now, it is very well deserved. Braylon, we appreciate everything you do for us. We appreciate the hard work. You guys go out of your way to not just help. I had a call this morning from Tracy Gaddis, and she was trying to load a wheelchair in the car. And one of the guys stopped in the truck, got out, and helped her fold it up and put it in her car. That's what these guys do. They go out of their way to make sure that they help the city of Mexico Beach, and Braylon is well deserved. I want you just say something. You're supposed to say.
Yeah. I just want to say thanks for everybody who voted for me. It really means a lot.
Thanks, Braylon. That's wonderful. Next, we have the Wildflower Grant presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Gesser. I'm a full-time resident here in Mexico Beach. I live at 316 Maryland Boulevard. I'm here today to update everyone on this project that we have going on that some of you might have seen signs of at Under the Palms Park. It's a wildflower garden. We started the proposal in January, consulting with Mr. Baber and also one of our master gardeners at the Port St. Joe Garden Club, Susan Wozniak. And we came up with this plan in order to apply for a grant from the Florida Wildflower Foundation. I'm a member of the Port St. Joe Garden Club, as are 12 other people in Mexico Beach. It's not just a club for Port St. Joe. It serves most of Gulf and Bay counties, over 100 members. So we decided to go ahead and apply for one of these grants. They're called Viva Florida Wildflower Foundation grants, and we received the grant. We found out in May of this year that we received the grant for this wildflower garden at Under the Palms Under the Palms Park. Sorry, I'm nervous, I'm not used to talking to stuff about honorable people here. So the garden is, it's small. It's a 15 by 30 foot wildflower garden, and it's going to be at the 5th Street end of the park. It's going to be both educational for people who live here and visit the area, and also a demonstration of what can be done using native plants and wildflowers in our environment. We received $765 to purchase plants and also educational signs. And also, we're going to be doing the site prep now. You've probably seen some signs of that already if you frequent that park. The next thing we're going to be doing is covering that area with plastic. It's called solarization. It serves to kill the weeds because of the heat during the summertime that penetrates that plastic. The weeds sprout, and then they die from the heat and the plastic. So you can see on this map, the garden site is here. This is 5th Street. This is the walking path. One of the requirements of this grant was that it be in a highly visible area so that the residents and the visitors will see it. And if you've ever used this park, there are a lot of people on the walking path, especially those of us who walk our dogs every day. There are, of course, the residents who live there that use the park. There are people constantly driving by in golf carts. And this park will be visible both from the road and also from the walking path. Also, it's going to be in an area, if you could just back up one for me, thanks. It's going to be in an area where the entrance, if you look at each side of this traffic barrier, there's a path that comes right past this area where the garden will be. Let me just see what I missed here. Right now it's just a bare area, and it was even before the hurricane. So it seemed like the perfect spot. The city partner, I think maybe back up a couple. No, sorry. Well, maybe it didn't make it in there. But Mexico Beach, of course, is the city partner in this grant. And Mexico Beach has provided the site, obviously, and also water. There's a water faucet at that site. Now, because we're using native plants and wildflowers, it does not require an irrigation system. So the first year, we're going to be planting the plants in the fall after the hot summer weather's over, so they have a better chance of survival. And the first year, we'll be hand watering them just with a hose as needed. If it doesn't rain, if we don't get about an inch of rain during the week, then we'll go out there with the hose and water the plants that need it. After that time, it's not going to require any more input. A little bit of weeding, of course, and the wildflowers will drop their seeds and propagate in the area. The garden club members will be doing the upkeep on the garden, so it won't be a burden on the community at all, and it'll be there for all of us to enjoy. The plants that we're going to be getting from a plant nursery called Sand Hills Native Plants. It's over just north on 231 in the Fountain area. So they've already got the list of the plants that we're going to be using. They're going to set them aside for us around about September. And we'll pick those up and then be planting them probably around the 1st of October is the plan. I have a list of the plants, if anybody's interested. I have, the plants we're gonna be planting are saw palmetto, beautyberry, coreopsis, black-eyed Susan, June sunflowers, butterfly milkweed, golden aster, blue-eyed grass, scarlet sage, saltbush, liatris, and seaside goldenrod, spotted horsemint, false rosemary, Elliott's lovegrass, yucca, and the garden club has already donated, and we have already planted 2 live oaks and some native viburnums, some little shrubs that are there at this time. So any questions about any of that?
Ms. Mary, thank you. It was a good presentation. Did a good job.
You're welcome.
I had a couple questions. I mean,
Yes.
the garden club, is that something that maybe we should budget to make a donation or something along that line? Is that?
That is
that
always
does that
appreciated.
happen? Okay.
Always appreciated. For this
Maybe
grant,
something we should look at. We do donate to other things, so.
that
maybe
would be
something we should
great.
Look at.
Yep.
You do have to replant new
Right.
plants every
Right.
year, so.
The other thing that we have had donated, I had that up there, is some things from Home Depot that were much appreciated. Some mulch for the plants when we put them in the fall, the garden hose, and the edging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the table?
It's gonna look nice. It's gonna look nice coming down. The street is a pretty busy street.
Yeah, I think it'll get a lot of exposure, and we're gonna have a sign made that will explain the benefits of using native plants and wildflowers, so that, and that also the plants will each have a sign so people can see what it is and hopefully replicate that in their own yards.
And speaking of that, Michael, what is the timeline? I know we got money for some stuff in that park for trees and stuff like that. When's that gonna happen? Do you know offhand?
We're still in the process of executing the purchase orders for the equipment and the trees, but we don't have a specific timeline yet, but sooner than later.
Okay. Yeah, it was nice with all that going on, so.
Yeah. Anything else?
I have one question.
Yes.
Are these going to be monarch friendly to hopefully create a spot for?
Monarch friendly?
Yeah,
Yes.
for monarch migration.
Yep.
Perfect.
Native milkweeds will be included
Awesome.
in that list, definitely. Monarchs, and we have a lot of other native butterflies and pollinators as well. And that's the goal, is to supply them with the food that they need and attract them.
So Mary, will you also send out an announcement like when the work will begin in case other community members? in addition to the
Absolutely,
garden club?
absolutely. It's
When
not
they-
just, it's for all of us, so. What would be the best way to get that out?
I think we can probably post something.
Yeah, you send it to me, I can put it on social media.
Okay, excellent. We'll do that.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, and I'm so looking forward to
Yeah,
this
me too.
beautiful addition to our city.
Yeah, thank you.
And you've already started to look, that's
Yes.
Pete that's gonna be right there, 'cause
Yeah.
I seen him out there.
Yeah, he's been out.
He does the work too now. I stopped wondering what he was doing, and he said, I got enlightened
Yeah.
about what y'all was gonna do, and I knew people from the garden, and I really think it's gonna be an asset to
Yeah.
And I like where you put it,
Thank you, I'm
right
excited
behind
about
Jenny's
it.
house.
Better hide around that.
I put it where I walk every day, so that's kind of a selfish way.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Sheriff's Office update, low speed vehicles, Mr. Lieutenant Williams.
Lieutenant Williams, Bay County Sheriff's Office, provided the council with a copy of, the old set of rules that were here before we were here. There's an updated version of the golf cart rules and everything that we pass out when we write warning citations to these people. And with the increased traffic from visitors and or property owners that they're coming back down here with their children, grandchildren, and children's children, it's become apparent that there's still a problem. And we're trying to address it best we can. but I was going to get up here and let y'all know a little bit about it and talk about a few things. The golf cart is a golf cart. It is by statute and defined in 320.01 as a motor vehicle that is designed and manufactured for operation on a golf course or sporting or recreational purposes, and is capable of exceeding speeds of 20 miles an hour. Golf carts can only be operated on roadways that are 30 miles an hour or less, except for 15th Street, where the city ordinance provides that with a slow-moving placard that it can operate on that roadway. It cannot operate on Highway 98. It cannot operate on the sidewalk on Highway 98 because our sidewalks are 4 feet wide. They must be 8 feet wide and designated as a multi-purpose path if they're going to be done like that. So we can't use a sidewalk, even the LSV, which is a low-speed vehicle with a tag, insurance, and all the blinkers and headlamps and everything else that's required by law on a motor vehicle. They can operate on Highway 98. And as far as that goes, if you're operating one, everybody gets their own seat. There's no babies in laps. There's nothing like that. It's a motor vehicle. We do not get on 98. Everybody has to have a seatbelt. And you're really visible from the roadway if you don't use your seatbelt. And we will start enforcing it, because since the hurricane, we have tried to help people and do everything that we can to do them and write warning citations. But it's getting to the point now where it's, having to chase them around like, chasing cats. It's all over the place. Up and down the sidewalks. Yesterday, I had 2 incidents, in the morning time. One behind City Hall, 13-year-old girl and her friend. Yesterday, just after that, people coming from the coffee shop. Oh, we just run down. We live on 19th Street. Well, if you live on 9th Street, you know better. It's something, and if anybody's got any questions, I'll be free to answer any of them. With all this going on, we have copies at the City Hall. We hand out copies of the rules and laws whenever we write warning citations. So it's all in there. We can pull the numbers if we need to. And, but like I said, with everything going on, people are, complaining and everything, we fixing to start, doing a little bit more enforcement than warnings. And I feel that's, the best route we got right now with the citizens' comments and everything else going on, and y'all are talking about registering golf carts and stuff like that again. That's up to you. It would help us out dramatically, but it's still up to the city to do that. But yesterday we had a Polaris UTV on the roadway. He come from a different state. In state, he is tagged as a roadworthy vehicle, but in state of Florida, it is not recognized as a roadworthy vehicle. It's a UTV. So we can't bring them from Montana, Georgia, South Carolina, and everything else and expect for it to be done out here. You need to call and ask questions before you do it. Any more questions? Any comments?
I've been approached and asked if I thought that it was a good idea for us to go back to the registering and tagging these so that we know who they belong to. I personally think that's a great idea. We can maybe bring that to the table in the future.
Registering and tagging it helps us out with, people parking, where they're not supposed to. Yeah, you can't park your golf cart on Highway 98. City ordinance allows for you to be able to park on the access points coming up from the roadways, but not past the stop sign, not past the power poles. It cannot park anywhere between the power poles and the roadway, which is state right of way. So it's pretty simple, pretty clean. You can't cross the road, you can't park on the other side unless you have a tag. And then you're considered a motor vehicle and can park just about anywhere you want to.
Yeah, I think somebody had a question from the audience.
Will these rules and regulations be posted all around agencies and properties?
We have tried, and we have done it as many of them as we can. The ones that rent the golf carts and everything else, we have gotten into those, but a lot of times they're not adhered to. They sign whenever they get them, and that's what they do. Yes, ma'am.
Please address the golf carts that are parked at 5th and 98 that block people turning off of 98.
Yes, ma'am.
Please address that.
Yeah, like I said, whenever you're coming in there and everything, the right-of-way is coming up to Highway 98. By city ordinance, they allow you to park on the right of way and everything. They do not park past the stop sign, so it allows for visibility both ways coming in and going out.
They also have to pull farther up on the grass than they are because there's several inches of golf cart bumpers that stick out into Fifth Street that prevent people pulling off of 98 onto Fifth if there's somebody in the other lane.
Yeah, don't park in the roadway. Yes, sir.
At, up towards Sunstock,
Yes.
that's the city limit center. 35-mile-an-hour stops about 30 feet before you turn into the Sunstock.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything we can do about that?
Well, I think it's gonna change in the next little bit, whenever they get it all finished up and everything, they're gonna change the signage around there. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with it yet, because they were supposed to have done some things when they were striping also.
My daughter got stopped, didn't get stopped, they pulled in behind her and told her, hey, look, you're in a slow vehicle,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to pass this 35 miles.
If you remember a while back on Highway 98 going east, you could go down, but you couldn't come back in.
Right.
That's something we've got to work out with DOT, and
It's not about 30 feet there, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I understand. But also, when you're operating a low-speed vehicle on the roadway, please do care. When you get a couple cars behind you and stuff like that, hold on and let them by. That way you don't get beer cans and bottles thrown at you and stuff like that. Because it's it's aggravating the citizens, to people driving and everything, trying to go somewhere. Because low-speed vehicle can't go over, 25 miles an hour? But it can operate on a roadway that's 35 miles an hour. Crazy, but it happens.
Any questions?
I have one more question. What about the nighttime ones?
Nighttime, yes. No, the LSVs can operate at nighttime because they're equipped with lights, brakes, and everything else. Golf carts are not allowed after dark. And it also has some stuff in there from the rules and stuff during inclement weather. Must be equipped with headlights, brake lights, turn signals, and windshield. That's by city ordinance. So golf carts are permitted during daylight hours only. That must have a valid driver's license. That's what the ordinance does for Mexico Beach, because state statute was just changed and everything, because used to you could be 14 years old and operate a golf cart on the roadways. City ordinance says you have to be 16 years or older. State law has just changed now, as if you're not over 18 years old, unless you have a driver's license or learner's permit. But if you have any questions about this, call the guys, call me. We're more than happy to answer questions, but we'd much rather, talk to you than write you a ticket. And I've been doing this for 12 years. I understand that. I said, we're just trying to get everybody in line, because it's a whole lot nicer when you don't have it lined up and down the roadways and everything else. And people getting hit on sidewalks, because there's been many incidents that could have happened that wasn't, because the driver was, paying attention. And the sidewalk thought they had right of way up there with golf carts.
And, everything's a safety issue too. I mean, that's number one here in our city. We want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for the table?
Registering the golf carts.
Yes, sir.
I could see where that would help you if they had a number, and you could go back to see if it was a rental or address where it come from. I think I'm gonna try to put that on the biggest. I'll talk to you about it. Don't put it on the agenda and see what we can.
One of the other biggest things about the registration and everything, I'd say probably 30 to 40% of our golf cart traffic comes from Gulf County. It comes from St. Joe Beach. It comes from that area over there, because our down walks to go to the beach are much nicer than theirs. They come across there at Overstreet, at that thing right there, and they're right in there in our streets and everything else. So it would help to know who on these golf carts, and then we could call them up. Hey, you need to get this moving. We don't use it for a cash register, as used to have been said. It's like ordinances for glass on the beach and holes on the beach. We get a chance to talk to these people and let them know. Plus, we have a warning system where we know that they've been warned before, and they've been wrote 2 times that morning, and that evening they're going to get a ticket.
Adrian, do you have anything? Mr. Wolf? Thank you.
Hey, quick question. How do they get here from Bell County? You can't cross 386, it's 35 miles an hour.
Exactly. The 386 belongs to Gulf County also.
Yeah.
What all you all do, because it's not just golf carts. We had a death in our neighborhood recently, and 2 weeks ago, 2 officers have stopped that by to see the widow, check on her. You all do a great job, Roland. Thank you for what you do.
Mexico Beach it's a community oriented place, and that's what we do. If you get any problem with my guys, call me.
It's just like these guys, you go above and beyond. We appreciate it.
So Lieutenant, not that anybody reads signs, because we know they don't, because they stay on the dunes, so I know nobody reads signs. But the people who are not, and it doesn't help putting it in rentals, because we've had rentals and they don't pay attention to that either. So along the roadway, is it possible, or can we put some signs for out-of-town people that go, oh, I didn't know that you couldn't ride on the sidewalk. You can in Peachtree City or wherever.
We also have Georgia law, and we keep it in the car with us because of the people that come down. Because the speed limit signs are the same in Georgia as they are in Florida.
Oh, yeah. Is there a way that we could that help y'all?
We could, you can put up signs all over and everything. And
Yeah, they don't raise.
They're still gonna do it.
they're still going to do it. But I understand what you're saying, and we're trying to, but, it seems like every time we want to do something, we have to put a sign up, and next thing it's going to look like NASCAR posted all over. But, yes, some down on the end of the sidewalk down there where they come across at First Street, and then they loop around and come in, and that's where they go. So we could look into that also.
Because I know y'all here, they don't know.
Yes, sir.
Anything to address the motorized bicycles?
Well, sir.
They go licking his foot down the sidewalk.
Yes, sir. And right now, until we get something in place and everything, e-bikes are allowed by law anywhere a regular bicycle can go. They can go down on the beach, they can get on the sidewalk, unless there's an ordinance against it and everything else. That's what we have to look at.
The original intent was the sidewalks, I think with golf carts, but they said no motorized vehicles.
Yeah.
Does electric bicycle qualify as motorized vehicle?
Sir?
Does the electric bicycle qualify as motorized vehicle?
It is as a bicycle, unless there's a city ordinance against it. And if there's a bike lane up on Highway 98, we put them in there. We've been talking with Michael and, Doug before that about it and everything, because we see it as an uncommon problem with some of the kids that come down here and use the elderly people as a slalom course coming down to the sidewalk. And you can see them, they're just cruising.
I see it every morning.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving to our fourth item, state appropriation for our ladder, fire truck, Michael and this.
Perfectly fine. Organized.
I know, I feel that. Perfect.
I apologize for that. Good morning, everybody, council, mayor, community. So, the Sharpie finally hit the piece of paper. I said if you would not count our chickens before they hatch. We tried last year, I think some of you will be aware, to get state appropriations funds for $500,000 to purchase a ladder truck for the city of Mexico Beach. We got to the veto stage last year, and unfortunately we hit the veto floor. This year we passed that, and we got a letter from the state fire marshal's office basically congratulating us on the fact that we've been awarded $500,000 to purchase a ladder truck for the city of Mexico Beach. So in theory we're here this afternoon or this morning to ask the mayor and council to sign the grant and accept the grant from the state. Now, and just a little bit of history on it really quickly. As I said, we tried 2 years ago after we had our last ISO assessment, where we went from an ISO 6 to an ISO 4. This has a significant impact on your house insurance, and it shows that we are improving the fire department as we go forward. One of the biggest issues we had was the fact that we were low on manpower and our building height. We have 24-foot ladders on the big truck that just made that horrible noise a moment ago, and that will basically get to a second floor window. If you look out south of 98,
where we had all that damage done after the storm, we lost so many houses. They were, you know, a lot of them were single story on stilts. So we could hit that first floor every day. Now they are 2 and 3 story on stilts, so 2.5 stories on stilts. We can't get to that second and roof floors without longer ladders. So the only real way to do this is with a ladder truck. So we set out to try and get that ladder truck 2 years ago. We fell at the first hurdle last year, the second hurdle last year. We made it past those hurdles, and we're here for the third and final hurdle, I hope, which will be for you guys to sign off on it today. So if anybody has any questions regarding how we're going to do this or whatever, please ask.
Yeah, just ask me real Sandy, you got in here 75 to 80 foot. Is that going to be, is that small enough or it's a single truck without swivel or anything on that?
Basically, that is going to be, so a lot of ladder trucks will basically be double rear axles and have big front bumpers and rear bumpers. This is going to be a single rear axle.
Okay.
So it'll be a lighter truck. It'll be more than likely have an aluminum ladder versus a steel ladder. Again, making it lighter so that it will be able to fit up and down some of our narrower streets and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So we're not going, you know, it's not going to be a tiller. It's not going to be a tiller steered where there's a man in the back and the back can go this way and the front goes that way. No, it's going to be a single rear axle ladder truck with a 75, 80 foot stick. They can go to 120, but that requires longer trucks, bigger axles, heavier, more damage to the roads and so on and so forth. Anybody else?
We appreciate you getting that rating down.
Pardon me?
We appreciate you getting that rating down.
Well, this in theory, but the plan will be, our next assessment will be 2026, 27. It depends. ISO call them, we don't have any say in the matter. They just ring us up and say 3 months from now we're coming to do your audit to get your ducks in a row. We would think 26, 27 will be the next one. The plan will be that obviously we have a ladder truck in place for them, we'll have a manpower up to where they require it to get ourselves down to a 3, if not a 2. And that really depends on what happens next door in Gulf County, what happens at the Air Force Base and automatic aid and so on and so forth. And that's a whole different ballgame. But if we get everything that we can in place, then we're in a much better position if we can get those puzzle pieces to fall in behind it.
Any questions? Question? Any questions?
The truck, it won't, everybody can drive it, won't be no class 2 license.
It doesn't require,
air brakes on it.
fire departments don't require CDLs, they just require training. We don't actually have to have CDLs to drive our trucks. Although they do have air brakes and so on and so forth, which is all part of CDL license. We in fact just require X amount of hours of training and then X number of hours signed off on by a qualified driver.
Any other questions from the table? Okay, any other public comment?
And there is just one other thing where we have already started, I know the council's aware of it, I'm not sure if the community is. We've already started along with Bay County to put our firefighters through ladder ops. So the idea being that we are ready ahead of us acquiring this vehicle. Because now we're going to have to go and hopefully look for it, find it, equip it, all for that $500,000. So the idea is that there should be no cost to the city other than obviously the maintenance going forward.
Anything else before we close public comments? You good with that? Michael? Yep. Close public comments, or public discussion, excuse me. We're going to go to discussion at the table.
I have a question, Doug.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so do I have a motion for approval of our state appropriated ladder truck?
I make a motion acceptance of the state appropriations funds for the ladder truck for MBFR.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Tammy?
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next on the agenda is our Florida Recovery Obligation calculation. That's the FROC. Michael and Mr. Walker again.
So we're in a slightly different hat, the emergency management side of things. FROC. we will, the best way to start this is all got to do with category A and category B storm removal. So category A and category B are basically houses and or plants and vegetation that have been knocked down by a storm, which we all had in Hurricane Michael, where they're basically blocking roadways and right-of-ways and people's properties and so on and so forth. So the State Emergency Management Organization has put together this idea of trying to consolidate everything, where we use the same forms for monitoring all of this so that it's standardized. So the moment we give in our paperwork, people in both FEMA and in Florida Emergency Management know that the information is correct and they can understand it. The idea is that it speeds up the process in which we get our money. One of the biggest issues we have is, were we going to be able to afford to pay out money to get the money back, to pay out more money to get the money back, to pay out more money. The idea is that we would get straight out for joining FROC, straight off the bat, 20% of the money that you're going to be paying out is going to come straight into you before you pay the penny out. As we move forward and we get further and further into it, we have the opportunity to get it as far as 80%. The situation we have is the fact that we're a small municipality. We don't have a huge number of employees. Other small municipalities such as Springfield, Parker and Callaway are joining with Bay County and going in with Bay County as one pot to do this, to start off with, so we can get our feet underneath us, we can learn how it all works and so on and so forth. So what we're here today is to say that FROC is a great idea. It's going to help us in the future regain that money for Category A and Category B. But we do believe that it would be better for us to go in with the county to start with. And straight off, if we signed today with the county, we have that 20%. So if we had a storm tomorrow, we would get 20% of the Category A and Category B funds handed to us before we spent a penny. And then obviously in 2024, we will then have the assessments that will bring us up to, or the county up to the possible 20% plus the 60%, which should be 80%. And it would take a lot of the pressure off small municipalities like ourselves being able to afford the Category A and Category B removals. And I'm sure those of you who were here, and Councilman Welling will remember, that was one of our biggest worries. Could we actually afford all these payments before we get the money from FEMA? The idea here is that the state gives it to us first. Although in this case it would go to the county would give it to us, but all we have to do is say, these are the numbers, they give us the money. It's not a case they're going to hold on to it and give it to somebody else, they have to give it to us. So that's kind of where we're at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Open public comment.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
It kind of does, but with all these changes and ways of doing things, obviously it has to be discussed. Those of us who I had a chiefs meeting on Friday with all the area chiefs, and it came up in that Panama City and Panama City Beach are going it alone, but they're big enough and have numerous employees that can track all of that. All the other smaller municipalities are going with it, and we're pretty much the last one that hasn't voted on it yet, and just with the way things have worked. But it does make sense to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, it seems like it sounds like a no-brainer for the city to do that, especially after we went through with Mike.
But exactly, but I mean, and as we grow, if we ever want to come out and go it alone, we can do that. It just means we have to do our own separate assessments within the FEMA Emergency Management. They will come and they will do an assessment on us as to where we stand. Whereas if we do it with Bay County, we can jump in with that.
Okay, any other comments from
Sure.
discussion from
Any
public?
negative at all? I mean, any.
No, I mean, obviously it'd be nicer if the money came directly to us without including Bay County, but that's what we might aspire to in the future. But no, I mean, there's no real disadvantage to it in any manner, in a form. Everyone's going to start using the same form. So if you'd ever done this before, the form's going to be exactly the same. Your form is the same as my form, is the same as Lisa's form. When we fill those out, they're all the same. So one training, one person can read them, one person can correlate them. So no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I have a question. What is the advantage I know there's the one advantage, if we go with the county versus the Florida recovery system. Is there any other advantages or disadvantages between these two? Other than county, we would get the 20%, it would be immediate?
Well, I mean, we could get 20% immediate ourselves if we went in ourselves by just signing up. You get that physically signing up. So today, if we tick that box and say Mexico Beach is joining, whether we join on our own or join with the county, that 20% happens. Because it's just been rolled out this year. The big thing will be next year when we get the chance to get up to the extra 60%. And the issue with the extra 60% is it requires a significant amount of paperwork, a significant amount of assessments. People come here, they assess this, they assess your responses, your category A and B collectors and what they're up to and so on and so forth, which requires a huge amount of paperwork and a huge amount of manpower that we just don't have right now. So, that's why we're saying go with the county at the moment, with the idea of once it's a little bit more clarified, we know exactly what we're looking for. If we want to go our own way, we can go our own way.
Okay. So, any other discussion from the public? Okay. We'll close public discussion and we'll start at the table. We'll go.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Any questions for Sandy?
I don't have any.
You good with me? I'm good with it. Karen?
I think I have 3. Free, doesn't cost us anything, correct?
Correct. Absolutely no cost whatsoever.
And Atkins and ACDC, our consultants would know how to run it.
Yes, I mean, they are working obviously alongside with the Florida Emergency Management. Therefore, they will be changed. They would need to change themselves with these new forms of 214s and so on and so forth. That we would use. We continue to use. The great thing about their 214s is the fact that there's drop downs. It's all there. It's all in the computer. You can do it on site. Off site. Everything works. It's just before it was pieces of paper. I can't read your writing. I can't read his writing. I've got to go back and ask, what did you write? What does this say? Whereas all of this is going to be done on a computer from now on.
And then it's Cat A and Cat B. How much money in Cat A and Cat B do you have? And have we gotten it all, or are we still waiting?
Honest answer, I can't. I know we haven't finished yet. I know we still haven't finished paying Credit Gulf, and they were one of the biggest movers in our Cat A and Cat B, I believe.
Well, I'm going to guess 40 to 50 million.
But it was a huge amount of money. But no, I did not do that with the research before. I'm sorry.
But this will just speed it up, so I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with some of the comments from the citizens. No-brainer, sign up, get your 20%. I'm more curious is how do we get to 80? And how we delve into that, do we hire an independent to do that for us? Do we rent a grant? What do we do?
Yeah, we can still get to 80 with the, with the county too, right? Because they will do all of the assessments. We will be part of that assessment. They just ask us for certain pieces of information. We'll pass that to them, right? But and we have to agree that we'll use their forms and so on and so forth. It's much easier for us as a conglomerate as such to be able to do that. Otherwise, we have to literally sit down with our consultants and everybody else and put together a large presentation, which just at the moment we don't have the manpower to do. I don't believe.
Well,
and get the full 80%, whereas we can get the full 80% if we go to the county at the moment.
I agree with the 20%. Just want to see how we get to the 80.
Yeah, I was curious with that too, as to, looking at the big difference between the Florida and recovery, basically you're saying our differences in going with Florida versus the county is really the paperwork and manpower it would take to do that.
What they're trying to do is they're basically trying to standardize everything.
Standard it.
The idea is that if we go in there with the same form, everybody in Bay County fills out the same 214, that FEMA will then accept that 214 as basically being correct and done properly once it's signed off by those in Florida. The guys in Florida Emergency Management, having trained us to do it properly, are prepared to give us the money up front because we are going to be handing them something that is already correct.
Okay. Any other discussion at the table? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the Florida recovery, the recovery obligation calculations through the county versus going through the Florida system?
No, we're going through basically going with the county rather than going it alone as a city of Mexico Beach.
I would make a motion to join FROC in conjunction with Bay County.
Very good.
That's it.
Very good. Tammy?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Lilly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Great presentation.
Are you through with that?
I think so, sir. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the city administrator search. Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We, in desire need of a city administrator, and we started with this, trying to get one, and, we got our literature and our, everything in our packet with us today, and I hope we can move right along with it. And I propose we accept it on the time view and the website when you advertise, what we got, and then the job description revised on June 2023.
Okay,
Move along just quickly as we can.
okay, so I'm open to public discussion.
Rock Creek, Colorado Drive. I got a question to ask this whole council. Doug, 5 months ago, brought Michael up here as an assistant. Michael's been here 5 months, so he pretty much knows what's been going on in the city, what's been happening and everything else with it. You guys made him your, I guess, part-time, or however you want to call it right now. Is there a reason why you just have not offered Michael a year position to evaluate and say, hey, we can give you a contract for 1 year, city administrator, and see how it works out? I mean, when I look at the grand scheme of things, if I was anywhere outside of this county and I watched the last 2 months of meetings, you ain't gonna find anybody with an IQ of 10 that wants to come here right now. I'm telling you that right now. You have somebody who already knows what's going on. See what I just said? I'm serious. People who do not live here watch that, and who's gonna wanna come here and take that chance? You have somebody sitting here right now who, I mean, I was out here looking at Michael. I think he's done a good job. Doug's gone, he's been around them. Why don't you do that and not worry about this right now and go for a year and see what happens? That just makes sense to me. Thank you.
And I think I can speak to that, and if Mr. McCahill will correct me if I'm wrong, we have to put this out for RFQ.
Well, this job description that you're putting out isn't really an RFQ. You're soliciting for an employee.
Well, now, okay. All right, any other public discussion? I'll close the public discussion, move to the table. We'll start.
Well, you know, I think we should search for other people because there's several avenues that we can go, and we don't really know who's available until we put it out there. I'd like to continue to search.
We don't know if he wants a job yet. He's got to put in for the job. I mean, I agree with Rock, but totally, but he's got to want the job. He has to put it out. He got to put an application for the job before we agree to take him. So it's not really on us, it's on Michael. I mean, if it comes time, I want to make a motion to move on, and if we want to do it, we make it now.
No, we got to go to the table, we got to discuss this. Adrian?
I want to echo the same as Rock, and I think this is a good trial for us with Michael, but I think it's also a trial for Michael with us.
I agree.
So I think we need to stand by and definitely know he's eligible to apply, and I think if he does apply, that's when that decision can come down and we can have that discussion. And I do think it's a viable option, but he might be scared of us too. So.
Yeah, I'll bring that. Michael's done a good job. I asked him about that personally, just talking to him personally, and that's something that I'm sure that he would consider and turn in an application like anybody else.
I think we need to take applications, do our due diligence, open it up. I also would like to give my opinion that we need to stick with our job description as it was in 2018 and has been used by several times, putting it out there for the job description. Nothing's changed in our job description. The posting is, you know, has been used out there several times for this same position. So I would move that we use the May of make the revised version at May of 2018, as well as, for the job description, as well as the posting advertisement, and put it out to those entities that we've discussed already.
You ready to go?
So, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the city manager job description revised of June 23. And that we also have the job advertising of July the 5th, 23.
I second.
Correction, should be city administrator, not manager.
Sorry.
You'll revise your motion?
Sure, I make a motion that the city administrator job description revised June of 2023 and the job advertising revised July 5th, 23.
I second. Again.
Tammy?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
No.
Mayor Miller?
No.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Okay. We've got, move forward with the next. This is a request for Attorney General opinion, Mr. Welly.
Well, this is gonna go somewhere that I didn't plan on it going. It changed yesterday afternoon, so I'm gonna pull it and not make a decision or recommend anything unless somebody else wants to. I've talked to the Florida League of Cities, I've talked to the Governor's Office, I've talked to the Secretary of State. They've all referred me to the AG. The AG referred me to their website. Just for some background, I was trying to get clarification on our charter and our form of government and role of the mayor. According to the AG's office, boards and commissions, questions relating to the powers and duties of officials who sit on a public board or commission shall be requested by a majority of the members of that board and not merely by a dissenting member or faction. A request from the board should therefore clearly indicate the opinion is being sought by a majority of its members. An opinion request on behalf of a board or commission should be accompanied by resolution minutes and transcript reflecting the vote. And if the board or commission is represented by counsel, the board or commission must obtain a written opinion of counsel and include that opinion with the request. That's what I read, that's why I put it on the agenda. Yesterday, I find, when opinions will not be issued, local codes, ordinances, or charters, opinions generally are not issued on questions regarding to an interpretation only on local codes, ordinances, or charters, rather than the provisions of state law. Instead, such requests will be referred to the attorney for the local government in question. We've already done that, we have that. I don't see the need to move forward with this.
So we're, got a motion to table this?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Tammy, call the roll.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, thank you. So we're moving to staff reports. City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I have a note from Mr. Troy Hutchinson from the Special Events Committee. We'd like to thank Tammy, Marty, Sandy, along with their staff for the involvement in the July 4th fun run. The race could not have been pulled off without the help from the staff. They had, I believe it was 286 runners participate, so almost 300 people participated. And going off of that, I'd also like to recognize our staff who've been doing a great job, not only in general, but because of, or during the 4th of July holiday. Sanitation worked, they did a great job. Our public safety did a great job keeping everyone safe. And then of course the Special Events Committee themselves and our entire community came together for a great event. And then I would also like to share, as I believe the entire council knows, people are starting to actually move into the Mexico Beach crossings now. I reached out to some representatives from St. Joe to see if they would be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for that project. They will be waiting until the entire property is done for that. However, if anyone from the council would like to take a tour now of the property and the units, just let me know and we can schedule that with them. With that, that's all I got.
So I was going to ask, Benji, you brought that up, Michael. Can we, Mr. Linderman said something about us going to look at kayak launches. Can we set up that at some point?
Sure.
And individually, I would like to go with him at some point, Mr. Linderman. And then also, I'd like to see the new crossings that are becoming part of our communities.
Yeah.
Really great. Anything else for me, Michael?
Nothing else from me.
Thank you, sir. I
That
appreciate
was
it.
Tommy, not Tammy on there.
Oh.
Tommy did it.
Give credit
I'd
where
say
credit's
both.
due, right?
I think it said
Exactly. Okay. Mr. McCagill.
Yes, I just want to update the board with regards to the plat setback issue that came up during the variance. I've been looking into that. haven't got my definitive answer, but I will definitely have an answer with regards to that at our next meeting. Also, I preliminarily spoke to Bo Creel of EPCI, and I'm going to be meeting with him how we can get together and refine how the building department goes about making those inspections, so something like that never happens again.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. City Council, we'll just start over here on the block license. Anything you have closing?
One thing I did notice when we had the race for the 4th of July and we got ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance, there really is no flag there. And so we held up a flag on a pole. But I think it would really be nice if we could have an American flag at all 3 of our parks. And we just want to put that out there as a thought. Since we are so involved with the Air Force Base here and we have so many veterans that live in this town, I just think it would be kind of neat if we could have an American flag on a pole, for future events. Just a thought.
Well said.
Very good.
You could look at mine.
Okay, you want to bring it down to the
Mine's already,
Pick it up.
Michael, a couple of things. Did we ever get back, did the lady ever get back with us about the parking, where these people are gonna go to the beach and where they gonna park at?
No, I followed up when I had that conversation. They have not made any determination since that meeting. We haven't heard back on any of those topics specifically yet.
I wasn't gonna have anything today, but I have something. I was waiting for somebody else. We have a new face in the room, and I think we should have her stand up and introduce herself.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're definitely going to do that. But that's a great call. So this is Michelle Lucas. She's our new city accountant. And we welcome you to the city and glad you got to come to see our beautiful town, our city. And please feel that you can talk with any of us about any questions you might have.
And Ms. Lucas will be here for the budget workshop tomorrow, so she'll be right into the fire there on
Diving in.
that one, yeah.
I do want to give you the correct director of our
Finance.
finance director here. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Anything
you
else?
all.
Okay, Mr. Webb.
3 things. Number 1, the Bay County maps. Have we looked at those at all, Mr. Clint?
No.
Is that something we need to look at, the ones that they presented here?
Yeah, well, the reason why that plat, it was old, it was from 1956, it was before Mexico Beach became a city. And I think that's gonna be kind of along the lines of the differentiation that I'm really gonna be looking into and figure out what we can do.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to have some feedback on that. Okay. Firm accounting, we had talked about looking at a firm to do accounting. Is that something we want to task somebody to start looking into what's available?
I have a suggestion on that. I think that last meeting Debbie is transitioning out. We're currently paying her to help orient Ms. Lucas to our system as Ms. McLeod transitions out. That might be what we want to look at, transitioning someone in from a firm that would help get our audit stuff in and of course help with Ms. Lucas. And it would help with our internal controls as well.
Yeah, and I just, my own thing is if we have some type of timeline where we can have a list of 4 of them and start looking at them and see if they're.
Well, we could put it on our next agenda if you'd like. I think it'd be a good idea to start, or we can even make a motion now, I believe.
I'd just like to make a suggestion that just one of us start to delve into it and bring the information to the council, maybe. Is that a good approach, or?
This is, I would be happy to open, for a motion to get maybe Michael to go on and list this job description at the same time. I think this one has to go, from my understanding from Doug, would have to go for RFQ, right?
Doug's job description?
No, for a
Accounting firm?
accounting firm. to-
Yeah, you.
Yeah, that'd be requested.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
There's
So-
probably one written. They did this in 2015.
Probably we could look.
Probably one
So I will entertain the motion to look into going on and getting something posted if we currently have something.
Or just to have some pricing, so we can put it into
Yeah.
the 24 budget.
That would be great.
And if we did a mid-year type thing, I mean, that'd probably be even better.
So I had told you the last time, I had talked with one gentleman who had reached out to me. I have his card, I can give that to Michael. We can reach out to other firms locally as well and see if we can get some pricing. I do know that this gentleman that I spoke with, his was like, we can set a limit of what we want them to do, and when they get to that, he said, he just gave a round of like $5,000, then we will tell you, hey, y'all reached the limit of $5,000. And then we can decide then how much we'll want to go forward with that. So that's an option. So I agree. I think we need to probably start looking into that. And we can let Michael, and again, I'll give you that one card that I have, and we could start looking into it and bring it to the next meeting.
So just for like supplemental accounting help or any other specialty, auditing, anything?
I think we do it overall.
Yeah, I think it helps the internal controls. I mean, that's how we got rid of the finding back in 15, is we hired an accounting firm to have that second layer.
Sure.
And I think that's good for our internal controls. With this audit coming up, we want to try to do our best to show that we're trying to improve those internal controls. And I think this would be a way to do that. So I do have a question. Do we know when Debbie's going to be completely transitioned out?
No, we don't have like a set date. I would think within the next few weeks.
Okay. Do we have what we've had to pay her up to this point from her date of resignation to currently?
We went to the hourly at the end of June. I don't know how many hours there's been since the end of June
Okay.
to
Could
the day.
you
But I can-
get
yeah, I can
that
get
to us and
sure.
let us know? Because that's $75 an hour, and I'm thinking that an accounting firm, even if you hired them, would be much more than $75 an hour as well. So if we could get those hours, we need to keep up with how much we're actually spending in that avenue. So, anything else, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
I'll hurry up through, just one other thing. I've heard a lot, in the last month and a half, whatever, talk about audits. And, I know we're behind on the audit, we have to open that back up and get that done. But I've also heard forensic audits. I think it's fair to the citizens to tell them what a audit costs and what a forensic audit costs. Because if we have some evidence of some problems, let's do a forensic audit. I'm all 100% with that. But let's not go into leaving them blind that it's just an audit.
So.
The cost is phenomenal.
Yeah, so I have actually checked into it. I actually even spoke with our auditors for Florida. And, we require a Florida audit, and that's Mr. Ben Clark. And he did not recommend a forensic audit. They are extremely expensive. I think I was told that one was done over, I think in Panama City or Panama City Beach not too long ago, and it was $80,000, and it wasn't even an extensive audit. It can go up it depends on what layers you want them to dig into, and it can be upwards in $200,000 or plus. It just depends. He recommended what they call adding to our audit, just an extended audit.
I tend to agree with that also. I mean, a forensic audit should cost you somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000.
And, you know, another
Versus a
thing we
regular
could
audit at
consider,
50.
you know, another thing we can consider if we're getting an accounting firm is that the accounting firm is familiar, that we decide to go with, is familiar with government
Absolutely.
and would be willing to help with some of this more extensive auditing of our
Agreed.
software, so.
One other thing, maps, when are they going now? Sunset?
Yeah, no, definitely not Sunset, but, I'm.
Sunset Park.
We're not putting them out.
Sunset tonight.
Yeah, I don't have a good update on that one. I'm gonna catch up with Troy and that group, later today. Well, we were talking about that actually at the beginning of the meeting, so I'll provide their update.
Okay, and I think you ought to be prepared to talk a little bit about the pier, just an update.
Sure. Right now, or?
I'd wait till
Maybe
the
tonight.
town
Sure.
hall,
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Be prepared.
Anything else at the table for us? Okay. Our upcoming meeting is tonight at 6. And that's a workshop. July 12th is also our second budget workshop at 6 p.m. And July 25th at 6 p.m. will be our next regular city council meeting. Do I so have a motion to move to adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.